Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjalishalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamin Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudirayet. In this session, we'll be discussing from the 9th verse of the 9th chapter of the first canto of Srimad-Bhagavatam. Tan sametan mahabhagan upalabhya vasuttamaha pujayamasa dharmagno deshakala vibhagavit. The meaning of this verse is, Bhishma Deva was the best amongst the 8 Vasus, received and welcomed all the great and powerful rishis who were assembled there, for he knew perfectly all the religious principles according to time and place. Deshakala Vibhagavit. So the background for this verse is, Bhishma is about to quit his body and the Pandavas have come to meet Bhishma Deva to receive instruction from him, especially Yudhishthira. And Krishna has also accompanied the Pandavas. And all the great rishis from all over the world, all over the universe, they have arrived there. Why? Because a great soul is going to quit his body. Bhishma Deva is one of the 12 Mahajanas. So this quitting the body in the right consciousness is the perfection of one's life. This is what Lord Krishna describes in the Bhagavad Gita. Antakale cha mam eva smaran muktva kalevaram yaprayati samadbhavam yati natratya samshayaha. Krishna says, whoever quits his body remembering me alone attains to my nature. And we will see in this chapter of Bhagavatam, Bhishma Deva is going to quit his body thinking of Krishna, glorifying Krishna. And it is Bhishma's good fortune that Krishna is right in front of him. But still, Bhishma Deva received all the great sages who had come at that time. So he received and welcomed all the great and powerful rishis because he knew perfectly the religious principles according to time and place. So Srila Prabhupada explains in the purport, expert religionists know perfectly well how to adjust religious principles in terms of time and place. According to time and place, some adjustments have to be made. The religious principles are given very elaborately in the Dharma Shastras, but some adjustment has to be made according to time and place. And Bhishma Deva knew all the principles, and therefore he was able to properly receive the great and powerful rishis. So Srila Prabhupada says, all the great acharyas or religious preachers or reformers of the world executed their mission by adjustment of religious principles in terms of time and place. Just like Srila Prabhupada himself, he went to the Western countries and introduced Krishna consciousness among those who are not very familiar with the Vedic culture. Though he did not change any essential fundamental principle, but he adapted according to the time, place, circumstances. So the acharyas know how to make adjustment of religious principles in terms of time and place. Even in the past, Ramanujacharya, Madhvacharya, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, all of them made adjustment of religious principles according to time and place. There are different climates and situations in different parts of the world. And if one has to discharge his duties to preach the message of the Lord, he must be expert in adjusting things in terms of time and place. So, Srila Prabhupada, he introduced deity worship. He taught the devotees how to, in the Western countries, how to cook different preparations for offering to the Lord and accepting his prasadam. But he did not compromise on the fundamental principles. Yet, he made adjustments according to whatever was available in that particular place. Now, Bhishma Deva, he is described as Vasuttama. He is the best of the 8 Vasus. Vasus are one category of personalities in the upper planets. So Bhishma Deva had appeared on the earth as a son of Shantanu and Ganga for the sake of participating in Krishna's pastimes. Because he is one of the pure devotees of Krishna. He is also one of the 12 Mahajanas. Mahajanas are authorities in Dharma. They know the principles of Dharma and they are able to guide and instruct others in how to follow religious principles. There is a verse that says, Dharmasya tattvam nihitam guhaya mahajana yena gatasya pantha. It's a verse in the Mahabharata. That the eternal religious principles are a very big mystery for even the most learned Vedic scholars. Because the Vedas describe so many different details about practicing Dharma. Now, out of these so many details, picking up the most essential, fundamental religious principles and exactly following it so as to be able to achieve the perfection of this human form of life, that is the challenge. If somebody becomes very much preoccupied with some preliminary things, then they miss out the essential principles which are required for making advancement. So, Srila Prabhupada has taught us the most essential principles which are absolutely required to make advancement in Krishna consciousness without spending too much time in preliminaries. Without spending too much time in preliminaries. Just like we have to maintain cleanliness, external and internal cleanliness, before we do deity worship. So Prabhupada explained this, that you maintain cleanliness externally by taking bath, wearing fresh clothes, keeping your surroundings clean, and internal cleanliness by chanting Hare Krishna. So he gave the very, very basic fundamental principle of cleanliness, shaucham, without getting into the unnecessary details, which are anyway not practically possible in every place at all times. The scriptures say, apavitra pavitro va sarvavastham gatopi va yasmare pundari kaksham sabachya abhyantara shuchi. One becomes completely purified externally and internally by simply remembering the lotus-eyed Supreme Lord. So, how do we remember the Supreme Lord? By chanting Hare Krishna. So, Srila Prabhupada taught us to chant Hare Krishna and thereby purify ourselves and be fit for serving Krishna, for doing deity worship. Like this, Prabhupada has given the essential principles so that we can execute those, follow those principles and achieve the purpose of properly practicing the religious principles to make advancement in Krishna consciousness to achieve perfection of purifying ourselves completely of all material contamination and going back to God. So it is said here, Bhishma Deva, he is one of the 12 great authorities, Mahajanas, 12 Mahajanas. Swayambhu, Narada, Shambhu, Kumara, Kapilo, Manu, Pralada, Janaka, Bhishma, Balir, Vayasaki, Vayam. This is a verse in the 6th canto of the Bhagavatam spoken by Yamaraj. Yamaraj is describing the 12 Mahajanas. Yamaraj is one of them. So Bhishma Deva is also one of the 12 Mahajanas. So he perfectly knew all the religious principles and he could make adjustments according to time and place. So therefore he could receive and welcome all the powerful sages assembled there at his deathbed from all parts of the universe. Now one special thing about Bhishma is, he had a benediction from his father that he could quit the body whenever he desired to, by choosing an auspicious moment. That's the sense in which that particular benediction can be used. Because in the 8th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna describes different auspicious and inauspicious times which are applicable for quitting the body. If somebody quits the body at an auspicious time, they are able to get out of this material existence and get liberation beyond this material existence. If they quit at an inauspicious time, then they cannot go out of this material world. They take rebirth again. But that is only applicable to non-devotees. Why? Because devotees, whenever they quit their body, it doesn't matter. Because they are Krishna conscious, whenever they quit their body, they are definitely going back to Godhead. They are getting ultimate liberation. whenever they put their body, wherever they put their body. It doesn't matter. Time and place doesn't matter for the devotees. So Bhishma Deva, as a pure devotee, he need not choose an auspicious time for putting the body. Neither he has to choose an auspicious place. Because he is a pure devotee. He is guaranteed to go back to Godhead. He is already liberated because he is pure devotee. But still, in order to teach others, because he was an expert yogi, Ashtanga yogi, so he was waiting for the most auspicious moment to put his body. And the great sages knew that Bhishma is an authority in dharma. So they all assembled to witness Bhishma putting his body at the most auspicious time. Uttarayana Punyakala. But Bhagavatam also describes in this very chapter that Bhishma Deva, he quit his body in the presence of Krishna, glorifying Krishna, fixing his complete attention on Krishna at the time of his death. So both ways Bhishma Deva was successful in putting his body to attain ultimate liberation. I'll stop here. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.